So after completion of renal stone and ureteric stone, today we will discuss about bladder stone and bladder diverticular. In this section, we will complete the basic anatomy and biology of bladder stone and different types of bladder stone and its clinical feature, and how will you investigate and manage a patient who having bladder stone. And in last, we will discuss about lipolapexy and bladder diverticular. So in anatomy, we will discuss in brief. Astos, can you tell me about something about bladder anatomy, urinary bladder anatomy?
Sir, bladder is a hollow muscular organ with its intrinsic muscles. It has three openings, two for the ureter and one for the urethra, and
Very
these
good.
three openings form the trigone of the bladder.
Very good. That's right. So urinary bladder is a hollow muscular organ which is situated in pelvis, and in our body there are two kidney, two ureter and single urinary bladder. So two ureter from both sides of kidney receive urine and carry up to urinary bladder. On other side, urinary bladder open where? At the urethra, at internal urethral sphincter. Okay. One important structure inside urinary bladder is trigone of bladder. That trigone of bladder is a triangular area between two ureteric orifices and internal urethral orifices. And this trigone of bladder is the most sensitive part of urinary bladder. And lining of urinary bladder is transitional epithelium, which covers the connective tissue, and this connective tissue is called lamina propria, that contains plexus of vessels and lymphatics. And bladder tract is surrounded by smooth muscles, and that smooth muscles is the continuation of the detrusor muscles of urinary bladder, and this forms the internal sphincter of the urinary bladder. And this bladder neck or internal sphincter is innervated by alpha adrenergic nerve fibers which prevent retrograde ejaculation, that we will discuss during the prostate section, how it prevents the retrograde ejaculation. So we can appreciate in this diagram, this is the urethra which open at the lower border of the urinary bladder like a urethral opening, and just below the peritoneal reflection of the urinary bladder, this is the detrusor muscles which continue at the lower end of the urinary bladder and forms internal urethral sphincter. So internal urethral sphincter is the continuation of the detrusor muscles. Okay. And histologically we can appreciate the transitional epithelium, which is the lining of the urinary bladder, which rests over the lamina propria or the connective tissue. Okay. So now come to about the support of the urinary bladder. So posteriorly, this is endopelvic fascia, which is continuous with the lateral ligament of rectum, and anteriorly, in case of male, there is one ligament which connects from pubis to prostate, that is puboprostatic ligament, and in case of female, that ligament connects from pubis to urinary bladder, that is called pubovesical ligament. And there are two false ligaments, that are lateral and medial umbilical fold. And lateral umbilical fold contains lateral umbilical ligament, and this lateral umbilical ligament contains one vessel, that is inferior epigastric artery. So we will have to concentrate over the medial umbilical fold, because this fold contains two structures. One is the remnant of urachus, that is situated centrally, and this remnant of urachus is called median umbilical ligament, that connects urinary bladder to umbilicus. And second structure which present in medial umbilical fold is remnant of the umbilical artery, and this remnant of umbilical artery is called medial umbilical ligament. We can appreciate in this diagram. So this is the central part, this is the remnant of urachus which connect urinary bladder to umbilicus, and just lateral to this central structure, median umbilical ligament is a fold. This is called median umbilical ligament. Okay, and most lateral fold is the lateral umbilical fold that contains lateral umbilical ligament that contains inferior epigastric artery. समझ में आया ये चीज? सबसे lateral umbilical ligament, inferior epigastric artery, और median umbilical fold जो है उसका central component यूरेकस है और उसके दोनों तरफ जो है वो क्या है? median umbilical ligament. Okay?
नहीं चल रहा.
Sorry. So, in our body, just below the pubis and antero-inferior to urinary bladder, there is a space that is called retropubic space that contains extraperitoneal fatty tissue. And the significance of this retropubic space is that this space is continuous with the lower part of anterior abdominal wall. This space accommodates the urinary bladder if urinary bladder will distend. Okay, and other significance of this retropubic space is that in case of rupture of urinary bladder, the urine may escape upward into the lower part of anterior abdominal wall. And the capacity of urinary bladder is usually 300 ml, but it may go up to 500 ml, and normal intravesical pressure during voiding is 30 to 50 centimeter of H2O. This is very important to solve the MCQ type of the question. Most of the time this line has been asked. The normal intravesical pressure during voiding is 30 to 50 centimeter H2O. And if the urinary bladder will distend, it gives which type of the shape? It gives a circular shape and which bulge upward towards the abdominal cavity. And usually urinary bladder is abdominal organ up to the age of 6 years. Even urinary bladder will empty. ठीक है ना जी? ऐसे क्या पढ़े थे हम लोग? Urinary bladder is a pelvic organ, but up to 6 years of age, it is abdominal organ. Even urinary bladder is empty. ऐसा नहीं कि खाली है तो नीचे से खिसक जाएगा. Okay? Regarding blood supply, urinary bladder gets its blood supply from superior and inferior vesical artery, which originated from the anterior division of internal iliac artery. And few number of the cases, urinary bladder may get its blood supply from the branches of obturator and inferior bronchial artery, which also arises from anterior division of the internal iliac artery. And in female, branches from the uterine and vaginal artery may supply to urinary bladder. Okay? Now come to about the vein and lymphatics of urinary bladder. There is a venous plexus which is situated on the inferior and lateral aspect of urinary bladder, and in case of male, this venous plexus is continuous with the prostatic venous plexus, and these all venous plexus ultimately drain into internal iliac vein, and that again subsequently drain into inferior vena cava. Regarding the lymphatics, first group of the lymph node is the internal iliac lymph node, which later on drain into external and internal iliac chain. Okay? Regarding innervation, urinary bladder gets its parasympathetic innervation from the anterior division of sacral nerve S2, S3 and S4 through inferior hypogastric plexus, and this parasympathetic innervation is motor to the detrusor muscles and inhibitory to the internal urethral sphincter. What will happen if the parasympathetic nerve causes the detrusor muscles to contract and internal urethral sphincter to relax? What will happen? There will be micturition. And just opposite to parasympathetic innervation, if sympathetic nerve which derived from the T11 to L1 segment will stimulate, that will causes the detrusor muscles to relax and internal urethral sphincter to contract, So this will causes the filling of urinary bladder. Okay, we can elaborate this concept like that. If there is a modest increase in bladder pressure because of accumulation of urine, what will happen? Sympathetic activity will predominate and causes the filling of urinary bladder. On the other hand, parasympathetic innervation will give impulse that will causes contraction of the detrusor muscles and relaxation of the internal urethral sphincter and causes the micturition. So this is the concept about the micturition and innervation of urinary bladder. Now come to the development of urinary bladder. To learn the development of urinary bladder, we will have to learn about the two important structures, that is intermediate mesoderm and cloaca. So intermediate mesoderm comes from the intra-embryonic mesoderm. So during the 20th or the 21st day of intrauterine life, there is a structure. This is called like notochord. So just lateral to notochord there are three structures. And just lateral is the paraxial mesoderm, that for somite. Okay. And most lateral part is the lateral plate of mesoderm, which form the intra-embryonic cilium. Okay. And in between these two structures is the intermediate mesoderm, which are basically we are concerned for today's class. Okay. So this intermediate mesoderm later on differentiate into three structures, that are pronephron, mesonephron and metanephron. And later on, most of the pronephron and mesonephron get atrophied, and this form Wolffian duct of mesonephric duct. And the caudal end of the mesonephric duct or the Wolffian duct gives the ureteric bud, which gives metanephrons or primitive kidney. Okay? So now come to the second structure, that is cloaca. Cloaca is a common opening of urogenital system and digestive system. Okay? So anteriorly is the urogenital system and posteriorly is rectum. Okay? So urogenital system is also divided into two parts, cranial and caudal part. Cranial part of the urogenital sinus is called vesico-urethral canal, and caudal part of primitive urogenital sinus is called definitive urogenital sinus. Okay? And at the junction of vesico-urethral canal and definitive urogenital sinus, that mesonephric duct which derived from the intermediate mesoderm open at that junction. We can see in this diagram. So see, this is Allen Cohen's. So this will be the vesico-urethral canal, and this is very good, definitive urogenital sinus. And at the junction of vesico-urethral and definitive urogenital sinus, this Wolffian duct open. इतना समझ गए? अब सामने समझना डेवलपमेंट इसका. So ultimately, what will happen? The caudal end, the distal part of the Wolffian duct, get absorbed at that junction where it opens, and later on, ureteric bud and Wolffian duct open into the cloaca in the definitive urogenital sinus separately, and that Wolffian duct forms the gonadal structure and its duct, and the ureteric bud gives ureter, primitive kidney, and the trigone of urinary bladder. So we can say epithelium of urinary bladder developed from the vesico-urethral canal. ऊपर वाला जो था proximal part क्या बना दिया? Urinary bladder का सारा epithelium. Okay. And at the junction, because the distal end of the Wolffian duct get absorbed into the most likely into the definitive urogenital sinus, or at the junction of vesico-urethral canal and definitive urogenital sinus. So it forms the trigone of bladder, and the muscular and serosal layer of organ get developed from the extension of uric mesoderm, and Allen Dois is the fibrous band, that is the urethra, which connect urinary bladder to umbilicus. Okay. So now come to bladder stone. Like kidney stone, bladder stone also divided into two parts, primary bladder stone and secondary bladder stone. Primary bladder stone develops in sterile urine in the absence of any bladder pathology, and most of the time such primary stone is usually migrated from kidney to ureter and from ureter to urinary bladder. On the other hand, secondary bladder stone develop in the presence of infection or any other abnormality of urinary bladder that predisposes to infection like bladder outflow obstruction, bladder diverticular, impaired bladder emptying, especially in case of urogenic bladder, and if something left inside the urinary bladder like Foley's catheter or DJ stent. Okay, so these are the predisposing factor for the secondary bladder stone. So in one slide, we can summarize the causes of urinary bladder stone are urogenic bladder in case of a stroke and spinal cord injury, benign prostatic hyperplasia or prostatic carcinoma because this causes the bladder outflow obstruction, urinary tract infection, kidney stone. Why kidney stone? Because kidney stone migrated to urinary bladder and present as primary bladder stone, bladder diverticular, obviously foreign body like Foley's catheter or DJ stent and cystosine. Now come to learn some fact related to bladder stone. Most of the urinary vesicle, urinary bladder calculi are mixed type of stone. Okay, and in adult, if you will get a question in the MCQ, the most common type of urinary bladder calculi in adult, the answer should be uric acid stone. Okay, and calcium oxalate stone usually migrated from the kidney. Why? Because most common type of renal stone was calcium oxalate. So calcium oxalate will migrate to the urinary bladder and present as primary bladder stone. Okay, and secondary bladder stone. Last fact is the secondary bladder stone are more common than primary. Okay. So primary bladder stone is also called as endemic bladder stone. Why? Because the primary bladder stone are more commonly found in Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, and some northeast state of India like Guwahati, Assam, and other underdeveloped countries. And primary bladder stone is also more common in boys than girls. And regarding age, this stone are more common in children who are less than 10 years of age with big incidence at 2 to 4 years of age. Okay, so causes for the primary or endemic bladder stone will be chronic dehydration. Why chronic dehydration? We can correlate chronic dehydration, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, northeast state of India, because dehydration causes the increased amount of solute in our body. That increased solute start to precipitate and stone formation. Okay, and second cause is low phosphate and high ammonia excretion. So low phosphate excretion in our body, what will happen? Phosphate will accumulate it and that will promote the formation of infectious stone like calcium, ammonium and magnesium phosphorus. And third cause is the patient is taking high intake of oxalate rich vegetable that causes increased oxalate restituria and increased calcium oxalate formation. Okay, and last cause is that if patient is on exclusive milk and carbohydrate diet, patient सिर्फ दूध पी रहा और कार्बोहाइड्रेट डाइट ले रहा है, उस कंडीशन में भी ये स्टोन ज्यादा बनता है. Okay, so now come to the secondary bladder calculi. Secondary क्या पढ़ेंगे? Secondary bladder calculi. Secondary bladder calculi more common than primary. One, regarding the age, what will seen will be here. As the cause for the secondary bladder stone is the infection, bladder diverticular, bladder outflow obstruction. So more commonly, the bladder outflow obstruction occur because of BPH. Very good. And the BPH will be more common in which age group? In the older age group. So instead of children, that was prevalent in the primary bladder stone. Here the age will be the older age group because of bladder outflow obstruction, and that bladder outflow obstruction because of benign prostatic hyperplasia or prostatic carcinoma. Okay, and most common type of secondary bladder stone, sometimes in some form, uric acid stone or S2 white or infectious stone. And usually the secondary bladder stone is solitary, but 25% of the cases it may be multiple. So now come to learn about the different types of bladder stone. ये ऑलमोस्ट वही है जो हम लोग पढ़ चुके हैं, like a renal stone. सारा वही है, इनफैक्ट उसी के स्लाइड में कॉपी कर दिया. So now we can discuss about this. क्या है? What is this? Which type of stone this is? स्टेरॉइड नहीं है ये. इसका मतलब पिछला क्लास याद नहीं है. ये बहुत कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर है इसकी. क्या है इसमें? There is some sharp projection from the stone. So the sharp projection from the stone is the characteristic feature of the calcium oxalate stone. Speculated है ना सारा. तो this is the calcium oxalate stone number one, and this may be considered as the primary bladder stone because it may migrate from the kidney to ureter, from ureter to urinary bladder. Okay. So as calcium oxalate is white in color, so why it appears dark red, dark brown or the black? Because this stone, I told you, there is sharp projection over this stone. So the sharp projection, a speculated structure present on the stone are very vulnerable to cause the damage to endothelium or epithelium of kidney, ureter and urinary bladder. So there will be the bleeding, and that bleeding will incorporate it over the stone surface, and that change its color from white to dark brown or dark. ये कंसेप्ट है. कैल्शियम पूछता है क्वेश्चन, कैल्शियम ऑक्सलेट व्हाइट है लेकिन ये आपको डार्क ब्राउन क्यों दिख रहा है? क्योंकि ये स्पेकुलेशन है नंबर वन. वो ब्लीडिंग करा है, वो उस पे जमा हुआ तो डार्क ब्राउन. ठीक है ना. और इसका दूसरा नाम पढ़ाए थे मालबेरी स्टोन. नहीं, and risk factor for calcium oxalate stone will be hypercalcemia, hypercalciuria and hypercalcemia and hyperoxaluria. This is a radiodense stone, very easily detected by the X-ray. Okay. Next is uric acid stone. Most important point about the uric acid stone is that this is the most common radiolution stone found in the acidic urine, and its consistency is hard and surface is smooth, and it appears like a multifaceted, irregular, oval or stone shape. Okay, and color is yellow to reddish brown, and this stone is radiolution, so easily detected on excretory urogram as a filling defect. So now, can anyone please read this case scenario? Someone pardon? देखो थोड़ा सा.
A 35-year-old male having history of frequency suprapubic pain and diagnosed the case of bladder stone. Figure showing the round or oval stone, shaped stone with smooth surface. Probably which type of stone is?
Tell me the answer. What will the answer? Uric acid stone. Clear है नहीं? Round, oval, male age, नहीं? Frequency is the earliest symptom of the urinary bladder stone that we will discuss during the clinical feature of the urinary bladder. Okay? Urinary bladder stone. तो अब देख लो क्या क्या इसकी पॉजिटिव फाइंडिंग है. स्मूथ सरफेस, राउंड और ओवल से यंग एडल्ट. डायग्नोसिस विल बी uric acid stone. Very good. And the predisposing factor for the uric acid stone already we discussed in the last class, that may be God, the patient having myeloproliferative disease, patient having history of Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, patient with iostomies and GOT. And we can treat such patient by advising low urine diet, hydration and alkalization of urine. And there are two drugs that are useful to treat uric acid stone, that are allopurinol and acetazolamide. That is the carbonic anhydrous. Okay. And next is the phosphate calculus. इसके बारे में बहुत डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. Phosphate calculus is also called a triple phosphate stone because it is composed of calcium, ammonium, and magnesium phosphate as chloride or the triple phosphate stone formed in the infectious environment, infectious urine by the urea splitting microorganism, most preferably Proteus. So this is also called an infectious stone, and the most characteristic feature of the phosphate stone is that it silently enlarge and fill all of the collecting system, so it can also called as a silent stone. And its surface is smooth and colory dirty white. You can see in this diagram, this is the spare part, okay? And predisposing factor for the phosphate calculus will be all the factors which again predisposes to the infection. So regarding the gender, whether male or the female, we will want female because of the short urethra, maximum chance of UTI, so maximum chance of ST heart calculi in female. Secondly, foreign body, like if we left the Foley's catheter or DJ stent inside the urinary bladder and urocent bladder or bladder outflow obstruction. अगर हम लोगों ने 10 साल तक इसका फॉलो अप किया, because all these are persistent in nature, नहीं फीमेल है रहेगा, नहीं न्यूरोजेनिक ब्लैडर है रहेगा, चला गया स्पाइन चला गया, ब्लैडर आउटफ्लो ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन है नहीं इलाज करा रहा, most of the time recurrence and incidence of urinary tract infection in the phosphate calculus much higher, up to 50%. अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है तो बनाना, इसमें recurrence और UTI ज्यादा हो, that will be the phosphate calculus. Okay. And last one is the cystine calculus. Cystine calculus developed in the acidic urine, which is extremely hard and radio opaque, and the radio opaque nature is because of its high sulfur content. Okay, and it appears as a hexagonal as it contains the benzene ring, and predisposing factor will be cystinuria. And how do you treat this patient? By advising low methionine diet, alkalization of urine, and recommendation of two drugs that are cystine complexing agent, D-penicillamine and alpha-pentatopropionyl glycine. Okay. Now come to the clinical feature of urinary bladder stone. So it is 8 times more common in males, and the earliest symptom of urinary bladder stone is frequency. Again, this is important for the MCQ. And patient also present with sensation of incomplete bladder emptying and having difficult or painful urination. And pain of this urinary bladder stone is very characteristic, usually referred to the tip of the penis in case of male or to the labia majora in case of female. Like renal stone, here again pain worsened by the movement and decreased pain by if patient will lie down. Why? Because stone falls away. ट्राइगोन पे है, रिपीट कर रहा है, पेशेंट लेटा, स्टोन खिसक गया तो पेन लेट रही. So classically, if a young boy is screaming and pulling at the penis with the hand at the end of micturition, the diagnosis should be bladder stone. Okay, and patient may have hematuria at the end of micturiation because of erosion of vascular which is present at the trigeminal bladder. And if a stone will stuck at the internal meatus, what will happen? Patient may present with interruption of the urinary stream, and if the stuck will be persistent in nature, patient may present with acute retention of urine. And obviously, as the infection is the integral part of bladder stone, so patient may present with the feature of UTI like fever, malaise, and headache. So a young boy screaming and pulling at the penis with hand at the end of micturition, what will be diagnosis? Another way of question?
Yes.
Very good, bladder stone. So now tell me, how will you investigate the patient if you are suspecting that this patient might have a bladder stone? So again, same routine examination of urine like microscopic hematuria, evidence of pus, evidence of crystal. If you are getting the evidence of crystal, then you will have to focus the shape of that crystal, and if it is the enveloped like, the diagnosis will be the calcium oxalate stone, and if it will appear as a hexagonal like, the diagnosis should be cystic stone, and it contains the benzene ring. So in this X-ray we can see this is a 5 into 3 centimeter oval separate mass in this pelvic area. So most likely diagnosis will be uric acid or which bladder stone, uric acid bladder stone. अभी तो पढ़ रहे ऐसे ही है ना, ऐसे दे देंगे कैसे क्या है, तो कम से कम इतना बोलना है bladder stone, okay? And ultrasonographically we can assess the urinary bladder stone, and we will get this characteristic shadow of the urinary bladder stone on the ultrasonography. And the characteristic feature during the ultrasonography is that if you change the posture of the patient, the stone will move from your previous पोजीशन, नहीं पेशेंट को लेटाओगे देखो अरे तो वहाँ पे ऐसा मिला था तो नहीं मिल रहा, तो मतलब कि गिव अ वेरी एक्सेलेंट क्लू टू एडवाइस टू अप्रिशिएट यस 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 ये स्टोन है, कोई ग्रोथ नहीं है तो वो मूव नहीं करेगा. ओके. And on cystoscopy the stone look like this, and the characteristic feature on cystoscopy is if you will touch your instrument with the stone we can heard the sound of the clicking. नहीं इंस्ट्रूमेंट जब टच होगा तो मैं प्रेसिट कर सकता हूँ, क्या क्या सकते कुछ ग्रिटी टाइप का लग रहा है, तो सिस्टोस्कोपी करने का ये है. Now come to the treatment part. There are different modalities to treat urinary bladder stone. These modalities are blind lithotripsy, optical lithotripsy, electrohydraulic lithotripsy, holmium laser, ultrasound probe, and stone punch. And purpose of all these modalities are to crush the urinary bladder stone and remove it by evacuator. That evacuator is called evacuator. Okay. सारा पर्पस क्या है कि किसी न किसी तरह से पहुंचो, reach to the urinary bladder, crush it and remove it, or let it to come through the transversal tube. So have a look over the blind lithotripsy. This is the blind lithotripsy. And the purpose of this blind lithotripsy is to crush the bladder stone. And this is endoscopic ultrasound probe to fragment the a smaller size of the stone. Okay. This is a holmium laser. This is used to break and remove the stone for the larger size of the stone. And this is electrohydraulic lithotripsy, in which there is an electrode with a metal serrated tip of the probe. This is electrode, metal serrated tip of the probe, which is surrounded by 0.9% sodium chloride solution. And in this system, if we will provide short high voltage pulse, there will be generation of shock wave, and this shock wave causes expanding cavitation bubble. And once the expanding cavitation bubble will form, give the second shock, second voltage, second impulse. After giving the subsequent shock wave, this expanding cavitation bubble will get collapsed or will get reformed. And because of this expanding cavitation bubble and collapsing as well as rebonding of this expanding cavitation bubble will cause the fragmentation of urinary bladder stone. So this is the pathophysiology about how electrohydraulic lithotripsy work to remove the urinary bladder stone. And this is a stone punch. At its tip there is space in which we can grasp the stone, we can crush it and we can remove it. So now learn about the decision of modality. These were the different treatment modalities where we will choose which type of modality. So for a smaller stone, ultrasound lithotripsy is extremely safe. If a stone is large, laser lithotripsy with holmium laser is best. And we can also disintegrate the larger size of the stone by transurethral electrohydraulic lithotripsy or cystolithotomy. And in case of failed litholopexy, हम cystoscope को negotiate ही नहीं कर पा रहे because of the stricture of the urethra. In that condition, we will have to change our route. Then we will prefer percutaneous suprapubic litholopexy. नीचे से नहीं आ रहा है तो ब्लैडर खोल देंगे प्रॉब्लम तो ओके Now come to learn about the difference between litholopexy and lithotripsy. Same नाम है तो confusion नहीं होना चाहिए. So litholopexy is the process of breaking a stone using catheter passing laser beam needle and removal of them subsequently. यानी कि हम कैथेटर पास किए उसके टिप पे एक निडल है और स्टोन को टच करके हम उसको ब्रेक कर रहे हैं. Then it is called litholopexy, used exclusively for urinary bladder stone. But lithotripsy is just action of breaking the stone through machine passing electric waves. यहाँ पे क्या है कि हम स्टोन के पास कोई भी इक्विपमेंट अपना नहीं टच कर रहे हैं. There is machine which is away from the patient, but the direction of that machine is targeted over the urinary bladder stone or the ureteric stone or the kidney stone, and we start the machine and machine produce the wave, and that wave break the stone. That I showed in the last class during the kidney stone discussion. So this is the basic difference between litholapexy and lithotripsy. So now come to how we can proceed for the litholapexy to deal with the bladder stone. So first of all, give a regional anesthesia, and the next step for the litholapexy should be positioning of the patient. So we proceed litholapexy, keep your patient in supine and lithotomy position, and insert your lithotrite with cystoscope per urethra. After inserting your lithotrite with cystoscope, grasp the stone and crust it. Once the stone will get crushed, then you equate again with the electrometer. So very simple. Just principle is to insert your cystoscope. You are able to see that stone in your urinary bladder on the screen or monitor. Crush it, remove it, or leave it. If it will crush, it will come through the urine. Okay. So this is elite evacuator to remove the urinary bladder stone. Now learn what are the contraindication for the litholapexy. If urinary bladder is contracted, if the age of patient is less than 10 years, where you are getting the urethral stricture, because CT नहीं कर पाएंगे, हमारा cystoscope नहीं जाएगा, नहीं. And third one is if stone flaps, right? So these are three contraindication for litholapexy. So if you are getting these conditions, then our modality will be percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy. बताया ना, हम change कर देंगे. So again, if you will get question about the indication of percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy, all the contraindication of litholapexy will be the indication of suprapubic percutaneous litholapexy. So again, contracted bladder, age less than 10 years of age with urethral stricture and large stone will be indication for the percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy. Okay. Now come to know about the steps of the percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy. If you are aware about the percutaneous suprapubic nephrolithotomy, we will be easily understanding about this step. Everything is almost same. Okay. So first step for the percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy will be to insert the needle into urinary bladder. Number one. Number two, pass a guide wire over that inserted needle. Number two, then start to dilate the tract where you pass the guide wire with the alkane metal dilator. Number three, and once you dilate the tract with a sufficient diameter, with sufficient circular shape, then insert the Amplatz. I will show you the Amplatz. And after inserting the Amplatz, the fourth step should be to insert an appropriate size of nephroscope. So what will happen? The nephroscope will reach to urinary bladder. Nephroscope is an instrument. I hope you can see your bladder stone. Okay. And once the nephroscope is inserted inside the urinary bladder, then start the process of litholapexy, that is the breaking of the stone. Okay? ये step समझ में आ गया? So we will require needle, guide wire, metal dilator, Amplatz and nephroscope. So to complete percutaneous suprapubic litholapexy, we will require these equipment: needle, guide wire, metal dilator, Amplatz and nephroscope. So see in this picture how Amplatz is being inserted over the metal dilator. Okay, and in this diagram we can appreciate how nephroscope is being inserted over Amplatz. And once nephroscope is inserted through Amplatz, start the breaking of the stone, and it comes to urethra, or we can also retrieve through nephroscope. दो रूट हो गया, एक तो ऐसे निकाल दो nephroscope से, या तुम तोड़ चुके हो तो urethra से पास हो जाएगा. ओके जी. we can see here, after breaking the stone through the nephrostomy, put a nephrostomy tube, okay, and leave this tube for the next few days so that remaining stone will come subsequently, okay. We can also remove the bladder stone laparoscopically. इसमें तो कुछ नहीं करना है, एब्डोमेन में गए, सब तुम्हें पता है, ब्लैडर को निक दिया और स्टोन को निकाल फिर इसको रख दिया, बहुत इजी काम है। ओपन पता है तो लेप्रोस्कोपिकली आराम से कर सकते हैं। समटाइम रेजिडेंट ऑफ सर्जिकल डिपार्टमेंट गेट कॉल, भैया हमारे यहाँ जो है एक पेशेंट को यूरिनरी ब्लैडर जो है फॉलिश कैथेटर जो है स्टक हो गया, नहीं निकल रहा है, आज आप निकाल दो, ओके। सो इन दैट सिचुएशन हाउ वी विल रिमूव a stuck folic catheter if you will get call from internal surgery department? तो क्या करना चाहिए? For the removal of hesitant folic catheter, inflate the balloon with 20 ml of water, okay. And once you will inflate the balloon, then with the help of ultrasonography, percutaneously with the needle, make the balloon rupture, okay, and with the help of cystoscope, remove all the fragmented part of the folic catheter, balloon, and any other foreign body if you are getting on cystoscope, okay. We can see in this diagram, this is the inflated balloon, okay, after getting ruptured from this room, see we are going ultrasonographically, मैं देख रहा हूँ अल्ट्रासाउंड में ये बैलून खुला हो, यहाँ से निकल गया, रप्चर करो, and once it will get ruptured, folic catheter easily will come out, okay. So this is all about urinary bladder stone, okay. Thank you.